Alright. Other media. Here we go. Woo!
Yeah, like mine's gonna be slightly shorter probably, so might as
You
well
want to go
start.
first?
Yeah, I might as well start this time. So, in terms of games, the only game like new that I've been playing, like new from like last week, was LA Noire, which is a great game. Uh,
I heard it was a good game.
yeah, it's
Never played it, but I heard it was.
by Rockstar, same guys that do GTA and Red Dead Redemption, and it's a detective game, and you kind of go around trying to, apprehend a murderer or otherwise, and you kind of have to deduce your way through it, and that's the basic premise of the game. It's a really good game. I recommend it. That's
Sounds like something AZX would play.
Yeah, it is something you can play. So that's it for games. In terms of shows, the only new new thing I've been watching was, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, which is really good, but I've already covered that. Walking Dead, obviously, and Eagles game, I already covered that. Go Eagles. And, lastly I watched Water 7 and NES Lobby again, but in the dub. I briefly mentioned it last week, but then I, finished it this week.
Oh, you finished it? So, what are your thoughts? I would like to hear your thoughts on the dubbing of it.
Well, first thing I have to say is I forgot how painful parts of NES Lobby were in terms of the pacing and just how it was structured. The one thing I couldn't stand was how poorly Luffy versus Lucci was structured, as well as Zoro versus Kaku. I thought Sanji versus Jabra was better because it was focused on and it was done. Like Zoro versus Kaku was spread out too much, and so was Luffy versus Lucci. But in terms of dubbing, it was fantastic.
Did I not tell you were gonna like Lucci's English actor the more any of these lobbies went on?
Yeah, dude. Jason Librick was perfect for Lucci. Only complaint about the voice I have was Kid Frankie. I didn't like it. Otherwise,
well, that was
it was small, but otherwise I thought they were all pretty good. Although I guess Iceberg could have been better, but I thought younger Iceberg was much better.
Now, I have to ask, all right, there are certain moments that I'm obviously going to ask about your feelings. First, well, how did it feel for the first time, or at least as far as I know, the first time hearing Gear 2nd English dubbed, and how that worked?
Well, it's not the first time, but ever since I heard it the first time English dubbed, it always rings in my head like Gear 2nd, not second gear. But it's supposed to be second gear, but that because of the way Japanese pronounce or Japanese sentence structure, he says Gear 2nd, and so it bugs me a bit when he says.
Yeah,
second.
It does because every time I try and think about it, but honestly, it's still like gives me a good feeling of whenever time I hear it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. It's just that little thing that bugs me. It's minor, but it does.
Now, the next thing I'm going to ask you about, every time I see this scene in English dub, whether it be English dub or the Japanese, it still gives me chills. I want to live.
And I've seen that a couple times before I watched the arc as well.
But it's still
way better than the sub.
Well, of course, but I'm just saying is that the fact it was so good that every time I see it, it still gives me chills.
Yeah, honestly, I don't like the Japanese Robins yelling. I think she actually loses her acting ability when she yells usually.
Mm-hmm.
And
Robin doesn't yell much.
Yeah, and Stephanie Young nailed it.
I was like, and of course that whole scene where they're walking on top of the Tower of Justice or whatever it is, walking up and having that big stare down at the edge of the building with staring down, or should I say CP9 was staring them down. That was, oh my god, I loved it. I love the scene. So when I got to see it again in English dub, it was just I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the other really, really, really major scene that I have to ask, or should I say episode, 312.
Of course, 312, and that's another one I saw before. But
I know, but I'm saying as English dubbed.
Yeah, I've seen it English
this time
dubbed.
around. Time around, at least.
With all the build up, it was. I love 312. I've always loved that episode. It was great dubbed. There was nothing wrong with the way they dubbed it. It was great. A thing that I kept going back to, like I don't replay many scenes when I'm watching like the whole episode, but one I did was the Jack Gatling scene, because I thought Colleen just completely destroyed it in that scene.
Like, wait, is that, are you meaning that in a good way?
Good destroy, yeah.
A good destroy. Like, oh my god, that is such a fun scene to watch.
Yeah.
Like, and it's stuff like this. Like, this arc also shows how well, at least vocally, she's gonna do come, you know what.
Yeah.
But just in case, people are at certain points aren't,
Yeah.
don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, what particular parts I'm talking about. I even seen her in a, somewhat, in an interview once, her people saying, oh, coming up, Luffy's going to be doing a lot of screaming, and you get that usual look you see from voice actors when they're like, oh, my character's going to be screaming a lot.
Yeah.
But I know she's going to do it well.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because of how she performed in Enies Lobby and Water 7, but because she also was a part of the, even though it was only for Kai, the Dragon Ball Z work she did with Kai was pretty good. And they do a lot of screaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's been well prepared.
Yeah, definitely.
But of course, that's still a whiles away.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's it for me.
So, well, first I'm going to talk about a few brief, I guess, bits of news in terms of like movie news that I've heard about in the last week. Like for instance, apparently, in Hollywood's wisdom, they decided that because Dave Bautista was so successful as Drax, that they are going to cast him in a future Bond film as like the bad guy's main like muscly henchman.
Interesting.
Which I thought was interesting. At first, the title of the video made it sound like he was going to be the main villain, and I'm like, wait, first of all, two problems with that. One, he's not main villain material. Two, he's not Eastern European. He can't pull off an Eastern European look or act, so he can't be a Bond villain.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so, what were some other interesting tidbits about, they released some more information about some slight more information about the Batman versus Superman, saying how the guy basically talked about his reasons as to why he chose Ben Affleck, and then basically talked about that he's using a more current origin story of Wonder Woman from its recent comic where she is the daughter of Zeus.
Uh-huh.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. Another interesting little tidbit. God damn it, pop-ups. Another interesting. Not necessarily. I'm not really interested in it, but might interest some of our viewers. Apparently, there's room. Apparently, this chick named Kate Beckinsale is going up, doing another Underworld movie.
Okay.
I mean, I was never was into that, so. But honestly, the two biggest, I guess, rumors of the week, I'd have to say, are both related to Marvel films. One is a rumor that, or should I say, a resurfaced rumor that Spider-Man could be joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe in terms of, Avengers Marvel Universe. Now, this was brought up in a video that said, okay, this is a rumor, but then they turned around and said, well, should he really join in? Because of, all the contingency issues they have to deal with, the fact that, where was he at New York, and all this other shit. So, right. But the other hands down most interesting movie news of the week, Robert Downey Jr. is supposed to be slated. This is the thing that probably will spark waves everywhere. Is rumored to be in talks, and it's pretty almost confirmed type of rumors that he is going to be in Captain America 3 and is supposedly for the purpose of starting the Marvel Civil War.
Oh.
So it seems like after, it's going to start the beginnings of the Marvel, they are actually going to try and do the Marvel Civil War. It looks like they're actually going to attempt the Marvel Civil War.
Uh-huh.
Which, other than the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet storyline, is probably the other. Actually, it is the most requested storyline for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's even, now they've led us to believe that there's even a possibility of that because of the fact that they're going to possibly put Iron Man in Captain America 3 to possibly get the ball rolling.
Uh-huh.
Because, they're not going to just toss the Infinity Gauntlet storyline out of the way in favor of the Civil War.
Right.
Because Avengers 3 is the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. That's the climax of this all these movies in Phase 1 and 2 and Phase 3 are going to set up for they're leading up to the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not just going to toss it aside. But it sounds like they're going to plant the seeds of the Marvel Civil War in Phase 3. So, Avengers 4 could be the Marvel Civil War. Or, instead of an Avengers 4, Marvel Civil War, the movie.
Uh-huh.
Or just some other, a series of movies, Phase 4 could set up for it, and then, Avengers 4 could start the Civil War, and then after that, they could be movies, instead of solo movies, be multiple movies focusing on the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Which, honestly, which could probably set them for a while. I mean, it's all speculation at this point, but the fact that this is even a possibility is just, it's blowing people's minds right now.
Yeah. I'll say.
Now, other than, let's see, in terms, like I said, I've already talked about television, Western TV. So, in terms of movies, I haven't really watched any movies in the past week because I've been watching Naruto, which I already talked about in the anime section.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also been, so there hasn't really been anything else about that in terms of watching. In terms of playing, the only thing I've really played since last week is playing more Smash Brothers 3DS. Which, and as you all know from last week, I didn't have much chance to play it because I worked 5 days, since getting it prior to last week's podcast recording. So this week I'll be able to give a much better review. And well, first of all, at this point I've unlocked all the characters and the stages, and is very entertaining. Honestly, it's very entertaining. It's interesting to try and, especially since now I'm working on trying to do all the challenges. Like, if you remember from Brawl, where they had that wall of you do something and then you either get like a song or a trophy or I'm trying to do those.
Right.
So it was, and it's like different this time. Instead of having the whole board at once, you have like different, I guess you say, like pages. Like the first page, I think it's like each page has I think 35 on it, and the board has only 35 on it, and you have to do a certain amount of challenges on that board in order to unlock the next board.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, and then obviously if you've already done anything on the new board, it'll automatically unlock since you've done them already. So it's interesting trying to, get those through. It's a lot more challenging than than I originally thought. But it's a lot of fun. I'm excited to have the opportunity to play with such friends as our mutual friends Link and AZX, and eventually you one day. It's definitely going to be tons of fun. But here's where, as I mentioned to you earlier, prior to the recording of the podcast, of the funny thing that happened. Now, one of the things I did was I created a bunch of Miis so that way I could not be using the same Mii for every single Mii fighter that I create.
Right.
And so I decided to make, Miis of my friends. I made one try as best as I could look like you and Rob or you and AZX and Link. Unfortunately, the only one I could actually, at mostly faithfully do was probably Link, because I got the hair and the glasses, and they actually have a skin tone that actually looks like Link.
Oh God, it's all red and shit.
Yeah, not as red, but close. Now, when creating your Mii fighters in comparison, it was kind of like, I tried to, make Link is obsessed with sword fighter, so I had to make him a sword fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But I made him more of a power type sword fighter, because you can add equipment to increase attack or defense or speed. So I made him more of a power, because I feel like that's what he would be. He'd be like the guy who fights, who has the strong sword play.
Mm-hmm.
Or basically, I imagine him being someone similar to not Zabuz. That's a completely different anime. Damn it, Bleach. Kenpachi. I see him being more like a Kenpachi style swordsman, where he just power, power, power.
Right.
And AZX, I also made him a sword fighter because that's just,
Tim.
From everything I know about him. But I made him more of a speed type.
That's him.
Now, this is where the funny thing happened when I created your Mii fighter.
Oh God.
Now, first of all, to be funny, I gave for his outfit, I gave him a vampire look outfit, because for some reason it looks more like a pirate than a vampire outfit. And for the hat, again, to be funny, I gave him a straw hat.
Nice.
But here's where the things get funny. First of all, your guy is the brawler type.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where things got really funny. Now, I with the brawler, it was either, being more punch focused or more kick focused.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where things get funny. Without even realizing it, because I felt that you'd be more of a kick focused, I accidentally created Sanji.
Oh my gosh.
Because first of all, his standard B, he cocks his leg and it gets encased in fire, and then he kicks it. Then his side B is he crouches down and charges up fire again, and then he does shoots across the stage for a burning dive kick. And then his down B, he does a quick flurry of kicks and then does one big kick. And then his up B is he does a series of kicks up
Oh my god.
So somehow, without even noticing it, I recreated Sanji in Smash Brothers.
I'm Sanji. Holy fuck.
And he ends up, and then coincidentally, that ended up making him my favorite character. So you, Strider, have been kicking all the other characters' butts.
Nice.
Except for the one time I tried to do the hardest level of difficulty of Classic Mode.
Oh.
That was, no. Actually, I made it all the way to the Fighting Me team right before the final boss, before I lost. And then the difficulty went down to 8.5. And then at that point, you can't choose, because normally you can choose whether you want to do the easy route or the hard route for the final boss. But because of the level of difficulty I set it, it automatically doesn't give you that option. You have to pick the difficult route, which is fighting against Master Hand and Crazy Hand, and then after doing a certain amount of damage, since it's that high of a difficulty, it switches to that super final boss form. Let's just say I beat him when we got down to 6.0. Yeah, it is tough. Especially when almost every time I'd either almost die, lose my first life, because each Classic Mode level, in Classic Mode, you have 2 lives. So even if you lost a life in the previous battle, this current battle, you'll still have 2 lives. I would almost every time lose my first life before even beating Crazy and Master Hand and getting to the second part of the boss fight. That's how tough it was getting. But overall it's been really fun. And like I said, I didn't intend to accidentally put you in the game as Sanji, but you ended up turning out that way.
Yeah, well now you gotta actually make it like a best Sanji impersonation for me. And
well, I mean, obviously I'd have to recreate, I'd try to make a Sanji one, a me, and then turn them into that same one, but it would, basically, I'd have the same moveset.
Yeah.
And also, in terms of your, equipment, I made it so that way your stats would turn out balanced.
Perfect.
Because I feel like that's how you would be. You'd be a balanced fighter.
Perfect.
See, I know you guys.
I used to be, it's funny, because I used to be all speed, no power, and then at a certain point I balanced out.
Well, yeah, see, I knew you're a very fast player, but you also are good at offense and defense. You're not just speed.
Right.
That's why I pegged you as a balanced type fighter.
Oh, I was just talking about physical, in real life.
Oh, well, I'm talking about in video games, but okay.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Now, the one thing I was disappointed about, like I said, in creating the Miis, was that I just couldn't exactly quite get your character, your Miis, to look the way I wanted to because of the limited choices.
I have
they didn't have anything, I had so much trouble trying to find a hairstyle that somewhat looked like slick back hair for AZX. And
doesn't work.
It was kind of difficult pecking your hair because yours is more like a wild. It's not really like any particular style, but it's also slightly it's slightly longer than, it's not short either. And then the other difficult part was it was your facial hair. That was a challenge. Because it has been a while since I've seen you, so I was trying to, figure out, what goes where.
Yeah, I have a Mii of me, and it kind of looks somewhat similar. It's not perfect, obviously.
Well, in the 3DS version, what happens is, you can actually, when you go to create a Mii, you can actually have the option of taking a picture of yourself, and then it'll try and create a Mii based around that picture, based on what it has.
Nice. That's cool.
But see, like I said, it was the most recreated, because I even was able to get his pudgy face right. The pudgy, and it's funny. But yeah. Oops. I just realized I accidentally said his name.
I know. I made a note of it already.
I know. Sorry, I got a little out of control there.
No problem.
But anyway, so it was definitely fun. You know, the only thing that I don't like about the Mii fighters is the blaster guy, the blaster type. It is it's so boring.
Really?
It's not like based around its moves. There's not much like. It's not very. It's like it doesn't seem like the other ones. You can tell like for all of them characters, you can tell to a certain degree that these moves are based off of moves from other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But like but out of all of them, the blaster seems the least original, and like based on what the moves are, your most likely route of what you're going to choose is end up going to make it even less original.
Uh-huh.
Like for instance, in my opinion, the most useful standard special is the charge shot, which is Samus's move.
Uh-huh.
And the other one was like a quick blaster fight type fire, like kind of like Fox's blaster.
Uh-huh.
And well, let me see. Let me think. What else is there? And it's weird because, like I said, and its best side special is the missile, like Samus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of here, like for instance, you got the charge blast, which is same thing, and then the other standard special is a grenade launcher, which sounds very similar to the snake thing.
Uh-huh.
And then for its side special, you got the missile, which is probably the best. But you also got the something called the flame pillar, which you fire a blast diagonally towards the ground and then creates a miniature inferno. But
like PK Fire almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like PK Fire. And then the other side special is called Stealth Burst, which is kind of like a copy of Zelda's move, where a stealthy shot goes across, and then when you press a button, it explodes. Now the up and downs are even worse, or at least the down is I think the worst. The first choice is a reflecting shield that reflects projectiles. Fox.
Mm-hmm.
You also have a absorbing vortex, Ness.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final one is you pull out a bomb and throw it. Link.
Yeah.
Now the ups make are just. I mean, I don't know if they're even from anything of the other characters, but they just don't seem that interesting. Like the first one has your character shoot you downward, and you fly up with the recoil.
Uh-huh.
The next one is called Cannon Uppercut, which pretty much, instead of you just flying up from the blast, you use that as a way to uppercut someone.
Huh.
And then the other one is you kind of use like a slight jet propulsion, and you can to quickly jump up.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't. It's not even that good. Like it's mostly not good.
Uh-huh.
It's just like I said. Out of all of them, it's the most unoriginal moveset. Out of all of them.
Right.
Like at least the other ones, it's a little bit. It's better.
Uh-huh.
So, but I'm just still in awe of how I was able to, through sheer accident, able to create Sanji in the game through you.
It's awesome.
Through your me.
Foot of the devil.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
All right. Well, then, that will just about do it for our new media section.